I went to Rhodesia, as it was then called, in the year of our Lord, 1958. I stayed there until the end of 1959. And early in 1959, I went with a relative of mine, relative because his brother had married my sister. We went to the Inyangani Mountains, a range of mountains to the east of Rhodesia. These mountains are very ordinary mountains, but there is a brooding menace about them at certain times of the day. They are mediocre mountains, not as majestic as some of the great mountains I've seen in Africa in the course of my many travels. One day, I was with a relative of mine, and he told me that we must climb higher up the mountain slope to search for the herb for which our teacher, whose apprentices we were, had told us to find on the slopes of these mountains. I refused to go higher up the mountain because I was already suffering from a chest condition that made me lose my breath every time I tried to negotiate a mountain slope. So I stayed on the ground, and I went into dense bush in search of this herb. I saw a clump of this herb not far away, and I made a beeline towards it. I never reached it. A strange blue mist fell all around me. It was like a blue haze, a bright blue haze that seemed to fill the whole land all around me. For a few amazed moments, I looked at the landscape through this strange, shimmering blue haze. And what happened afterwards, I do not know. I regained consciousness to find myself lying upon what looked like a metal working table, a smooth table of grayish silvery metal, of the type that engineers and metal workers work upon. But this table was like no table I'd ever seen before. It was more like a counter, such as one would find in a supermarket, but it was of solid metal through and through. I was lying on top of this thing, and I was naked. And the fact dully registered in my mind. It was as if I was under the influence of some kind of drug or spell, in that I observed all these things with a strange detachment. I was just lying there on the table, not moving a muscle. I was on my back. And then all around me was this strange haze, a turquoise blue haze, or a curtain of transparent turquoise blue material. I do not know. And beyond this haze, I dimly saw that I was inside a room that looked like a railway tunnel, a small half-round room which curved away towards an unseen corner. This room was so small and so low that although I am a short person, my head would have reached almost to the roof of this very confined space. And then, through that strange haze, I noticed many designs made in black upon certain parts of this room, if I may call it that. I even saw a door partly hidden by the curvature of the place in which I was. And there was something on that door, decorations or writing done in black against the silvery metal. And then, through the haze, I saw things moving. They looked like dolls. They looked so incredible that I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My mind faintly registered the spectacle. I wasn't even scared, just mildly surprised and stupefied. These things were moving towards me. There were 5 of them, and before I knew what was happening, one of them, the tallest and the largest by far, was very, very close to me. In fact, the damn thing, please forgive my word, was standing less than 8 inches away from me. It was short. It had a very large, round, hairless head. It had long black eyes, jet black eyes. It had small nostrils, no ears, and a slit of a mouth. Its neck was long, almost shaped like that of a crane. And the creature wore a garment which covered it from the soles of its feet right up to its neck. The garment reached up to the creature's wrists. Its hands were bare. The creature came towards me, and for a few moments we stared at each other, and I was conscious of a strange, revolting smell that emanated from the creature, a smell that somehow chilled the blood in my bones. I wanted to move, to run away, but my body would not obey the commandments or the commands of my mind. This creature was something to be feared, I sensed. There was something cold and unbelievably unfriendly in the creature's expression. It was a living thing, of that there wasn't the slightest doubt. It was human-shaped, but its face was utterly alien. For a moment we looked into each other's face, the creature and I, and then I noticed something. That the long black goggle-like things that seemed to cover the creature's eyes were really a kind of goggle. And behind the goggles, one could make out the creature's eyes, split pupilled and round. And I wasn't given enough time to dwell upon what I was seeing, as the other creatures came all around me. And the next moment, a terrible scream was torn out of my lips as a burning pain seared into my thigh. I turned my head, forcing it to turn, and I saw that one of the creatures had buried something that looked like a flexible cable in my left thigh, and the pain was horrible. And even now, I remember that and much more with a shudder. But the agony did not end there, because the next thing that happened was that one of the creatures, a creature which looked very strange and unbelievably old, I noticed that its skin was peeling here and there, exposing a sort of a pinkish underlayer. There were peels of skin around the creature's mouth, near its left temple, and very close to where its ear should have been if it had been a human being. This creature pushed something into my nose, my right nostril, and there was a burst of pain that was so excruciating that I don't know whether I screamed or not. It was a maelstrom of agony. It was a storm of anguish. After that, my body just became numb. I could feel the creatures doing more painful things in parts of my body. They drained something from my organ of manhood, subjecting me to a deep feeling of horror, shame, and terror. And they did all this with a purposefulness that was almost blood-chilling. And I remember screaming and crying out for my mother. And the creatures didn't care what I was saying. They took absolutely no notice of what I was undergoing. To them, it was as if they were doing a job, like surgeons dissecting an ugly monstrosity on some table. To them, it was a duty of some kind, a duty which was attended by a desperation and an efficiency that was literally out of this world. I remember, after what seemed like an eternity of hell and pain, I remember that the leading creature placed its hand upon my mouth, patting my open, screaming lips again and again, none too gently, as if to say, please shut up, you stupid ape. Can't you see we are busy? There was, if I could have read only a trace of expression or compassion in those cold, grayish-blue alien faces, I would have understood. But their faces were totally unreadable, and they said nothing. They only seemed to communicate with each other in a series of squeaks and rattling sound and hisses. I remember that in the group there was one of them which took my attention more than all the rest. This creature was wearing a grey silvery garment. But that was not all. It was also wearing a recognizable cap with a visor, a cap of the type that schoolboys used to wear in some schools, a round cap with a little peak, like a duck's beak in front. I noticed this, and it amazed me. What were these creatures? And when the tallest of the creatures finished petting my mouth, I assumed stupidly that my agony was over, but it was not. Because when human beings or strange creatures like those are busy torturing you, you are in extreme pain. Your pain knows no description. You cannot run. You are utterly captive and helpless. And these things are doing to you exactly as they wish. But when they stop torturing you, when they stop plunging things into your body, things that you don't even understand, many times I wanted the creatures to tell me what they were torturing me for. What had I done? But they did not even say a word. They did not even make a single recognizable gesture of apology to me. They didn't. They just went about whatever they were doing. These creatures looked exactly like this. They are the type of alien creature that has been known and feared throughout Africa for generations. This creature is about 3 feet tall. It looks for all the world like a child who is on the last stages of dying of malnutrition. It looks exactly like this, and it has a strange smell which once you smell it, you shall never forget it. This creature is known by the Zulu-speaking people of South Africa as a mantindane. The word mantindane comes from the verb ntinda, which means to abuse, to fiddle with, and to torture by interfering with the victim's genitals and other private parts. This is an exact description of the Mantindan. It does exactly that. For hundreds of years, even mighty nations such as the Zulus, even powerful warrior nations such as the Botswanas and Xhosas lived in mortal fear of these creatures. Whenever a Zulu army went out on the warpath, Zulu warriors used to wear a strange cup-like device over their private parts under their loinskins. This cup-like device was very dangerous to a warrior in the heat of battle because it sometimes could get undone and get between the warrior's thighs, and cause him to stumble and fall, and so to get killed by the enemy. But the Zulus were so afraid of having their semen stolen by the Mantindane that they found this type of inconvenience acceptable, rather than that they should face the trauma of having things done to them by these beings.